Back to wrap things up here on the spread, and no one better to get you some bombs for Thursday night football. It's the Anytime Touchdown King. It's Brian Matthews, aka BMatt himself. Brian, appreciate you hopping on the show.
Hey, appreciate you having me on. And again, thanks for bringing me on for another high-scoring, exciting game to pick some touchdowns on.
Yeah, I think last week when we talked, it was 40. Now it's 43. I promise you, eventually we're gonna have like a good game for you to pick some to
Hey, you know
touchdowns.
what though? Look, we still hit Taysom Hill last week, and
Yeah,
had Chris Godwin's touchdown not been called back, we had two that night. It would have been highly profitable. So let's
that's
keep it
true. That's
rolling.
true. All right, I like it. All right, so tonight we got the Raiders and the Rams, obviously. Total is around 43 and a half, depending on where you're looking.
Mhm.
Again, there are a lot of question marks, especially around this Rams offense on who's going to even play quarterback to start. No Cooper Kupp, no Allen Robinson. So it's kind of just, close your eyes and throw darts at the board here. But that's why we have you here. Let's start with your first pick for anytime touchdown scorer today. Who you rocking with?
All right. So, I mean, you really couldn't have said it better yourself. I mean, as far as like, look, we're just throwing a dart here. I mean, at this point in the day when we're filming this, we
Mhm.
don't know, hey, look, is John Walford the starting quarterback? He's going through warmups. We've heard potentially, we know, I guess, that Baker Mayfield's going to be dressed. And there are reports that he knows the offense, which is highly unlikely. So, look, let's just grab some guys on a team that, they might be throwing the ball, and let's see what we can get. So, first guy that I'm going to go with here, I'm going to go with, I guess,
Encouraging.
the longest what's the longest tenured Rams receiver in Van
It's-
Jefferson. And look, I like this spot here. Like you said, we're throwing darts at a wall here, but Van Jefferson's the most experienced, at least with the playbook. He's shown that he can create separation. The Raiders in the secondary have shown that they're beatable. So let's find a Rams receiver, and I'll go with him.
Yeah, I really like Van Jefferson as a player and as a prop for tonight. My problem is kind of just like if you're the Raiders, you're like, who else do we need to defend and passing downs? That's kind of why I'm staying away a little bit. But I mean, I don't really know who else is going to catch passes, so it's probably a good bet.
Yeah. Hey, look, this could be a tricky one. I mean, look, you can get, and going to my next one, I thought, look, let's go ahead and get another guy. So Tyler Higbee. Now, this one's kind of more contingent on the quarterback. I'm hoping it's Walford here for this
Mhm.
Higbee pick. A few weeks back when Walford made the start, Higbee had, I believe, 8 targets and 7 receptions for,
Mm.
somewhere in the 60 to 70-yard range. So when you have that kind of volume, right, volume normally equals opportunity, or at least presents itself. So I think that the Higbee might, he's had some huge regression this year on the touchdown front. Has not been scoring as much, but this might be one of those games where he gets back on the path. So let's go with Higbee for pick number 2.
Okay, interesting that we're talking about we have no idea who's going to play quarterback. We have no idea what's going to happen tonight, and you go for two Rams players. Interesting.
Well, I
Um,
thought we were starting with the Rams.
yeah, of course. Um, I'll give you my two picks. I have a Rams player for kind of my YOLO play, my longest odds one. I like Matt Collins. That's going to be my top pick for today. I just think that if you're this Rams defense with obviously no Aaron Donald, so it should be no problem for Derek Carr to have a pretty clean pocket. I think all the attention obviously is going to be on Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs. And Matt Collins has had a really nice season the last couple of games, especially since Hunter Renfrow went out. So that's kind of who I'm looking at there. My second one is Josh Jacobs, and we've kind of been staying away. We agreed that we weren't really going to talk about Josh Jacobs and Devontae Adams because you're not really coming for that kind of value at that point because they're both minus value. Obviously, always use the grid to make sure you're getting the best value because it really does fluctuate a lot. Caesars has some weird value sometimes on this anytime touchdown scores, but you don't have to get too cute every time. I think he's going to find the end zone. If you want him for a first touchdown score, you can do that as well. You got any strong opinions on either of those guys?
Actually, Josh Jacobs is my number 1 pick tonight. I just think
Okay.
without Aaron Donald, look, you open up a lot in the middle, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe a single word the Raiders say on their injury report anymore. I mean, Josh Jacobs 2 weeks ago had a calf issue that supposedly kept him from
Mm-hmm.
practicing all week, and he was highly questionable. And then handled 40-something touches for a couple hundred yards. So
Yeah.
and did the same last week. He's been questionable. Look, Josh Jacobs is, I think, the best bet to score in this game. I think when you look at the projected game script right. If you have a running back, you want somebody that's going to be in a projected lead so they can continue to run the ball. I do think
Hmm.
that Davante Adams can be cued in on. Matt Collins was actually one of my other favorite ones. So when I look at the Raiders, I think all my favorites are on the Raiders side for obvious reasons. We at least kind of know what we're getting
Yeah,
with him, right? So since you
more or
took
less.
Matt Collins, and I was going to go there, I'm going to pivot on you
Hmm.
and give me Foster Moreau. Look, Darren Waller's
Okay.
coming back, if not this upcoming week, the week after that. Foster Moreau has been solid, not spectacular, but he's been solid in
Hmm.
kind of mop up duty. Scored his first touchdown 2 weeks ago. Give me Foster Moreau then, if you're going to go ahead and take the other one.
Okay, interesting. And my last pick is kind of my longer odds one, and that is Tutu Atwell. And for no other reason other than quite literally, someone needs to catch passes. I guess in theory, on this Rams team. And he's been trending up. I think he's passed over 30 receiving yards. I think 3 straight games at this point. He's a deep threat potentially. Again, look, I mean, this Raiders defense hasn't exactly been really good either. I think
Yeah.
someone is going to score. If you can't tell, I'm just kind of just throwing darts at this point, and probably one of them is going to hit. You got a long odds type of guy for today?
Brandon Powell's, about I think what like plus 20 odds higher.
Uh huh.
So hey, look, if we're throwing darts, I think we just covered the entire Rams receiving core and tight end, right? So if we don't get one of these right, this game just wasn't meant for touchdowns.
It's possible. And we, I played this earlier on the show with the guys from the Morning Edge. Just fade or ride with the public. We have some betting data from both BetMGM and DraftKings on what some of the more popular bets are. We have Davante Adams as the most popular first touchdown scorer according to BetMGM. You can get it at plus 400 there, but you can also get it at around 450 or 500 on other books. How you feel about that?
Hey, I know that he's going to be the chalk. Look, I'll tell you this. I normally look at the list of most bet props and I'll try to fade
Mhm.
those. This is a little bit different since it's a touchdown score, right? So I think Josh Jacobs is probably your safe bet. Devontae's,
Mhm.
look at the volume he's getting in the red zone targets. So,
Yeah.
you can see it's kind of easy to see why people would gravitate toward Devontae as a first touchdown scorer. But it always feels like in these primetime games, man, you get these off the cuff, no name guys that come up and end up scoring the first touchdown.
Well, we're going to get to a couple of no-name guys. You mentioned Brandon Powell. I do have bad news for you. He is the most bet on anytime touchdown guy at plus 375 on BetMGM. You can get it at plus 500 on Bet365.
I might
Sorry to
have to
break
change.
that news to you.
Yeah, I might have to change that then. Hold on. Yeah, I'll hold for now. We'll see how this week works.
And looking at the DraftKings data as well, Davante Adams, 25% of the handle and 25% of the bets for a first-time touchdown score. He's also the favorite to be that first touchdown scorer. Josh Jacobs right behind him, 20% of the handle, 19% of the bets. This one's interesting. The top 2 most bet guys for anytime touchdowns. The top guy, I'm not going to lie to you, I had to look him up. I don't know who he is. It's Jacob Harris at plus 1,400. Just cue in the Snoop Dogg who gif at that point. He is a rookie, has 1 catch for 6 yards out of UCF. Uh, am I missing something here?
Oh, I think people are doing what we're doing right now, Matthias. We're sitting here, we're throwing darts at the wall,
well,
right? If you're going to throw a dart at the wall, why not take the most attractive and lucrative one? I mean, the odds are probably the best, right? So, hey, let's go ahead and take a shot there. Or, we're doing the calculated, the kind of calculated guesses here, right? That just sounds like, hey,
sure.
let's pick a guy who might have a little bit of a role and see if he can, hit pay dirt.
More or less calculated. Probably more calculated on your end than mine. Any other big bets for tonight?
Hey, I like Josh Jacobs. I think the Raiders are going to be able to handle this
Hmm.
one. So I'm not taking too many overs in this game. This is one that I'm trying to avoid for some obvious reasons here. But the Rams have showed that they can keep it tight. So I
Hmm.
do like Hollins. Matt Hollins. He has been solid. It just really depends if the Rams can keep it competitive and who they've got out at quarterback.
Well, there's a lot of things up in question. Who's going to score touchdowns? Who we're picking for the game? Who's even playing for the Rams? But one thing that's not in question is that OddsChecker has the best odds for you across any sports book. We have your comparisons, so make sure you're not missing any value. That's going to do it for the spread for this week's edition. We will be with you next week, same time, same place. Michelle Beadle will be back, play a couple more games for the World Cup. BMatt will be joining me. Hopefully we have some exciting games for next week to pick. If not, I apologize on all our behalves. Brian, appreciate you joining. Thanks everyone for watching. We'll catch you next week.